Welcome everyone. My name's Kelly Wilkins and I'm so pleased to have you here tonight and to our first meeting of the Food Storage and Self Reliance group. And I just want to recognize that we're all here for similar but different reasons. We all have seen probably the name of the group and went, that sounds interesting. So I want to explain to everyone what's going to happen, give you a sense of what you can expect from this group and the plan. So as we get going, I want to also then introduce you to some of the people who are in the group tonight and the role that they'll be playing inside of our food storage group. But first of all, let me start off by saying those of you who are new to Telegram, there's actually 2 pages to the food storage group setup. So if you're inside food storage and Self Reliance, this is a place for you to chat, to ask questions, to get to know one another, to lots of resources will go into this group. And then there's a channel, and that's called Self Reliance and Food Storage, just so that it could be easy for me to find and post things in there. And in the channel is where we'll put all the resources, and you can go into the channel without having to scroll too far back to find resources. So I know the chat can get filled up a lot with conversation, and that's excellent. And then, but go to the channel for anything that you want to download, anything that you want to find really easily. I want to also say that this group is a place for us to come together whilst we're talking about things of quite a emergency is kind of one of those things that the word calm and emergency, you might not put those two things together, but this is a place that you can really feel like it's your soft place to land. So in this place, in this page, it might be different to some of the other pages that you've come across where there's a lot, we can feel that there's a lot going on in the world. We can feel that there's a lot of, I guess, anxiety and concern and worry. But when we come to food storage and self-reliance, it's all about getting organized and getting prepared. And when we are prepared, we don't fear. It's not a place of worry or concern because we're setting ourselves up to be safe and to be well. Now, there's lots of aspects to being safe and well and prepared. And we're going to cover those, and we're going to cover them sequentially. And so what we'll have is a plan for how to cover those topics that are important to you. Already inside the group, you'll find that there's a survey. I would love you all to fill out that survey or questionnaire, and it'll help me to put you in touch with people who are close to you. So if you're in the group, if you could just type into the chat, everyone know where the chat button is. If you can type into the chat your name and your suburb or the state that you're in and where you're from, we can start to connect everybody up where you live. And hopefully as we go along each of these weeks, we will have more and more people join these classes. So what you can expect is that each week we'll have a focus. Now, from what I've heard so far, the feedback that I've heard is that most people have a center around what they can do in their own backyards, the gardening, how to set up, your pots and your plants for gardening. I did a beautiful interview with Alicia Green, who lives near Port Stephens, and she has a horticultural background. And so already in the chat, you'll find a lovely interview with her there that talks about how you can get started with a garden in the pots in your backyard. And so uh, you, you know, she does have a lot of space, and she has tried to do a garden in a big size, and she found it quite unworkable, and found it much easier to just work with small pots in around close to the home, because if it's close to the home, you're likely to then to look after it with watering it, and you're also likely then to harvest it. So we don't have to feel disadvantaged living in the city, because it's actually where you're going to do a lot of your planting anyways around your home. So go back and have a look at that interview, and then if you have questions and so forth, that's a really good place to start. And there's a lot of people in this group who have a lot of expertise in that area as well. Ali, who's in here, she's already popped a lot of good references to seeds and to places that you can find seeds in the group. So this is Ali. You can see there in the picture. Gives a wave. Beautiful. And Karina, who's already contributed some of the great Zooms that you can expect to see in self-reliance in the area of finance, leadership, business. These are all really important areas of self-reliance that you might want to look into for yourself if you're in a situation where you are employed and your employer is saying you've got to get the jab and you don't want to, then becoming self-employed gives you that really good flexibility. So I am self-employed myself, and so let's just back up a little bit and I'll tell you a little bit about myself and how you got to be here, because how I got to be here. Growing up, all my life, my family, and my mum's in this chat, Irene, she's can be a testament to this, is that she has taught us to be self-reliant. I was born in Glenorrey, and when we were one, we moved to the far north coast near Lismore, or should I say more near the other side of Moolumbar and then Nimbin. And we lived on acreage there, and for the idea of being self-sufficient, knowing that, you know, one day we might find ourselves in the predicaments that a lot of us are finding ourselves today. And we were prepared for that when I was a baby. We had goats and cows and horses and sheep, and we were by no means any farmers, but we ground our own wheat and made our own porridge. When I say we, my older brothers, and slaughtered our own cattle, and at times, and lived off the farm as best we could, until when I became a teenager, we moved back to the city, and so we got to enjoy city life, and I really enjoyed that growing up. And of course, I guess having had the difference in the city, you kind of get a bit used to the conveniences of the city. And I find now that as technology has gotten better and better, we get used to more comforts, and we get used to things being a lot quicker. You know, we want instant, we want it now. And that's, you know, we kind of get to the place where we end up where if the electricity was to go off for 5 minutes, we're all in all kinds of trouble, right? If the internet goes down, we're like, whoa, that's what happened to our world. And so I actually have a passion for being self-reliant, not only in terms of how we live day to day, but also in terms of our energy, our health, our bodies. And I have a massive passion in being self-reliant when it comes to can I say, not needing a doctor. Okay, I really prefer natural health alternatives, and as part of my job, being my business, is I coach people on healthy living, getting back to botanicals and relying on fruits and vegetables, getting back to nature for the source of our well-being. And so what I want to really emphasize in tonight's call is that for us to be able to move forward in a really positive, strong way, we need to be grounded in who we are for ourselves. With a lot of contention going on out there in the world, with a lot of uncertainty, people can be very afraid, and with fear comes reactions and contention, and where those things are taking place, then it's very hard to have space to think rationally and to react in a planned out way. Can I say it that way? So one of the things that we're going to start to really focus on is our core being. And I want everyone just to do this with me. I want you to take a deep breath in, let it out. Breathing in again and breathing out. Now, when we breathe in oxygen to our brain, and we can think better. When we're in a panic or rushed or emergency situation, we take small little breaths, and it stops oxygen from really entering our brain, and we stop thinking clearly. So one of the things that we're going to focus on is really clear, focused energy, focusing our mind. And one of the things I coach on is eating well, so that your gut is your second brain. And when you feed your body well, you can think well. And I want to have us start to think about, over the last 100 years, nutrition has kind of been a thing that has been really as like everything that we've got in our world has been sped up, right? When we want to be well, we want to speed up that process, and we want to take a pill or go to the doctor or go to, we want it to happen quickly. But in nature, things, if there was a beautiful saying that I read in one of our groups, and it was a lady who worked for one of the big companies. I don't want to name the company, but it was a medical company, and she was in charge of filling the boxes, the prescription boxes and so forth. And the co-worker was asking a question, and she said the thing that she was always taught was, if you need something out of a box to fix the disease, then it's likely that the disease came from the box, a box. Right? So we've seen we out of the box people. And if we can move away from, needing the boxes to fix our health and going back to nature, that's where the answers are going to be. And so, this whole notion of self-reliance really covers a lot of topics, right? And so coming back to our core being, I want you to be able to learn to trust your gut instinct, because your gut instinct is going to give you everything that you need to know. Okay. And so when we are in a place of peace and calm, we're going to be able to listen to that inner core being, that little voice that tells you what to do, what is right, your next move that you should make. And when we're flustered and when we're in a panic, we don't get to listen to that voice because there's too much distraction going on. So one of the things that you're going to want to do as part of your self-reliance program is give yourself a little bit of space and time in the day to have some time out, some calm. And I love to take people through some practices that I do daily that help you to have that inner peace and inner calm. So you can expect for me to post things like affirmations and practices that I do that will help you to start to become more self-reliant when it comes to listening to that inner place for you, that peace, and start to quieten the noise of the world. So we will go through some plans that also covers emergency plans. We will go through some there's actually quite a sequence to the work that we'll do together. We're going to start with our, like I said before, like our gardens and what we can do in our backyards to prepare, to plant, to harvest. And then we'll go to, things that you want to store, your food storage, your emergency supplies. I talk a lot about our 72-hour kits. So what if you have to have an emergency and you have to get up and go? And that could be for any reason. It could be, fire, or, we live in Australia, floods. We could, the wind, the big, anything can happen. And if you're prepared, then you are prepared to help somebody else. So we're not just thinking about ourselves, but we're thinking about our community. And also I'm going to be looking for people and to be hub leaders. So we are a community that's spread out. There's some in our group that are from New Zealand and from Queensland and all kinds of places. So you might be able to connect with people in the group who are in your area, but you might be a hub leader for your own community. And so there's some people who in the survey that they said, yes, I'm willing to be trained to be a hub leader. So we will look for that as well. So that's the plan that I have for us going through. I'm just going to check my notes. And then I might stop the record, and then anyone who's in, if we can open up the chat and you can ask questions like that. So I'll just press stop record.